Welcome to another edition of Music Monday. I'm your host, Adam Duke. This week, I'm at the Cave, speaking with the Quentet.
My name is Quentin McCauley, and this is the Quentet. We got Dillon Slater over here. We got Dave Rundell.
I'm Dillon Slater. I play guitar in the Quentet, and so I went to Buffalo State with these guys a few years ago, and they're some of the best musicians I know in the area, and I'm extremely excited to play way more gigs with them, and so.
My name is Dave Rundell. I'm the drummer, and I am singing. I am singing on the on our next Black Dots gig on the 31st. And yes, Buff State alumni, go Bengals. And today I was teaching French as a substitute teacher. So we.
So you guys want to talk a little bit about how you kind of formed as a band. Obviously, you know, I know where the name comes from, but how you established that as if you want to talk about how the name came to be.
Sure. So, aptly named the Quentet, my name is Quentin, of course, so that's how he knows. So, as far as like forming, you know, I went to school, as Dillon already said, I went to school with these guys, played with these guys for years actually, and I've always known their potential. Dillon, I had to like kind of find again. He kind of went missing from me for a while, but yeah, I'm so happy to have him on board now. These guys are just great. They're fun to work with. As far as the name is considered, so at our first gig, which was actually here at the Cave, we didn't have a name when we first booked the gig because we had just formed. That was last year. And pretty much from there, I was just like kind of just stuck on a name. I thought of the Quentet as a joke at first. It became a reality really quick because it was pretty catchy. So we just stuck with it. We ran with it. Everybody's giving me nothing but good feedback on the name. So it's there to say now.
I think it just fits. It just fits.
Yeah.
If I can add to that story, I remember when he texted me, he said, "Hey, how about the Quentet?" And I kind of knew he was joking, but I also said, "Oh, that's great. Like, that's like awesome. Like, that's it right there." So it's funny how some things happen just on a whim, you know, when you're thinking about a band name, you know.
And you talked about the show coming up on the 31st. Are there any other shows or any music or anything on the way that you'd like to talk about?
So, as of right now, we're playing a festival in the summer, the Lewiston Jazz Festival. So that is in August. I believe the 25th is the day we play. There will be more gigs coming up soon. We don't have locked-in dates quite yet. The 31st is our next one. I hope to plan another couple in April, definitely a lot in May. So be on the lookout.
And who are some of your favorite people in the area, whether they be musicians or producers or venue owners or whomever that you've enjoyed working with?
Slater.
Yeah. So yeah, I've played in a good amount of bands in the past few years in the Buffalo area, including my fellow bandmates in Cheap Peach, including Tyler Will, Jade Hogue, Brendan Ryan, Riley, and the guys in Vertigo Child. Mom Said No. I've had the pleasure of playing with so many great people in like the rock, kind of more of the rock scene, but I've also played in jazz too, of course, ever since I've been in Buff State with these guys. I've learned a lot from watching fellow classmates and teachers from Buff State too just play, and I've learned so much from them, and I feel like it's been a great experience learning from the rock people, from the jazz people, whether it be like great players like Jared Tinkham, Matt Michaud in Buffalo. They're like a couple of the best guitarists I've seen play here, or you know, some of my professors at Buffalo State too, like Evan Drummond and Mark Filsinger, and yeah, a lot of great talent in Buffalo.
So, where do you begin with Buffalo, man? It's just full of talent, full of shining stars. So, I'll start with some people. Saxophone players specifically. I enjoy like playing with so many. Like, there's just so much to draw from here. So there's like Dolan Sharp. There's John Troy. There's another one who I didn't really like hear at first, but then I heard him. I was blown away. Eric Eric Crittenden is great. Guitar players, he already said a lot of them. Jerry Tinkham, Matt Michaud are great. Some of the bands here that I'm not going to get into everybody's name, but like Pharaoh, the band I play with, Strange Standard, is great. I play with some really good keyboard players. George Caldwell is great. Bobby Jones is great. Marcus Lolo is great, who I play with at school. I teach full-time. I also teach lessons at 3 different music studios. One of the ones I'm most proud of is the Love Supreme School of Music, where I teach piano and flute primarily, and I work with these students. We're starting a jazz ensemble program soon. I'm really excited about that. I'm gonna also go back to my band. Some people that aren't here, but I want to spotlight Nathan Reiser, Armani Works, Isaiah Gathers are some people we play with. They're just fantastic musicians, and they play with some bands, Encyclopedia of Soul, Inner City Bedlam. There's just so much talent.
All great bands. I would say the biggest thing that I love about Buffalo is the community. So when we just went out to Quentin's show the other day at Nietzsche's, and we go out to all the shows and that we can, and we try our best to have a good time and to just develop that community in Buffalo. As the musicians, we're here for each other. And the more other musicians succeed, the more we succeed. So music in Buffalo, this is not a competition. I lived in LA for 10 years. That's not Buffalo. Buffalo is we work together and we support each other. And that's what I love about Buffalo, and that's what I love about the Buffalo music scene. So any of these great bands that they named, we can go out and we can have a good time with them after the show, before the show, and really during the show, when they're up on stage. We like to be kind of cheerleaders when we go out.
Today we're at the Cave.
Yep.
So I guess that leads me to the point, what are some of your favorite venues to play in the area?
This place is great. This is one of my favorite venues actually to play with in Buffalo. As it stands, Jay Hall, the guy who runs the show here, he's been nothing but supportive of me from the beginning, even before this band formed. He reached out to me, with opportunities. He gave me some exposure. He's been great. Sportsman, obviously, is connected. It's also great. I really am looking forward to Black Dots. I really love their space. Some other ones I really enjoy. Actually, playing at Mohawk. Mohawk's really popular here. I liked playing at Mohawk.
Flying Bison is another one that we frequent, and we see John Bacon and Elliott play there a lot, and some great big bands play at Flying Bison. I've
Played at some really impressive venues in Buffalo, like Ironworks is one of my favorites. They have a great, like the green room there is really nice. It's just, they're very accommodating for all the artists that play, and the stage is great there too. Riverworks is great for Music is Art. Music is Art is I'm so glad that they do that here. I mean, to have as many bands and artists represented in such a large area. And what else? Yeah, Mohawk was a big one for me. I've played at Mohawk many times.
Rec Room?
Rec Room, yes. Rec Room's a great one.
So who, in your music journey, who has either inspired you or influenced you at any level?
I'll let you go first.
Braxton Cook has been a really big influence on my saxophone playing, saxophone being my primary instrument. Just like his cadences, his phrasing, I steal all the time, honestly. Wayne Shorter, I've stolen from a lot. Obviously Charlie Parker. But then when you think outside of saxophone, Robert Glasper is one of my favorite musicians. I love listening, but really I just love even bands like we're playing the music of coming up, like Thundercat, Steely Dan, those bands. I love listening. I love playing their music. So those have been big inspirations for me. Also, local musicians here are also big inspirations for me. I remember my first time playing outside of a school, really my first time playing anywhere was Flying Bison. And I played on stage with Bobby Militello, who is huge. He's
Legend.
Dave Brubeck. Like, it's just, that is my first like opportunity to go out and solo in front of live people. And it was great. It was like one of the best experiences I've had in Buffalo, because I was like, I moved here from Long Island, so like these guys may have already been here, but like for me, everything was new. It was in my first year here and my first year playing out for jazz, so it's been great. So he's a big inspiration. Like other saxophone players, other keyboard players like George Caldwell is a huge inspiration for me. But I'm gonna stop talking and let Dave go now.
What you touched on, local musicians, that's definitely the biggest influence for me. Because when I see other people play, it just inspires me to go home and practice and listen to new music. So definitely that. And when I'm driving, I love like iTunes Music. He sends me playlists all the time, and we're always adding songs to the playlist. Okay, let's do this one, let's do this one. So iTunes Music has been a huge tool in the car, because I just pop my phone into the aux cable and listen to the songs that we're going to play on the next show. And in a way, that's kind of practicing, because I'm hearing the song in my head. So that's been a big help.
I draw influence from like a lot of different types of players. Like I've started off listening to like metal, like Kirk Hammett and Metallica, like Marty Friedman, like guys like that, like shredder types. And then I've gotten into lighter stuff, like, you know, I love Rush, progressive rock stuff, like Alex Lifeson. I really love playing Rush, like style solos and licks. And some of the best guitarists I've ever seen are like in fusion and jazz, like John McLaughlin and George Benson, Pat Metheny, Wes Montgomery, of course. And it's like those are the players that you really like, you know, like yeah, it's like it's good to always strive to play like those are the players you're like striving to play like. But I also like to, you know, always like to mix in my own styles, of course, whether it be like alternative or pop or funk or metal. Like I'm a huge Prince guy. Like I love like pop too. Like I'll listen to like Michael Jackson and like Madonna and stuff. So it's like I listen to all types of genres. I like to be influenced by anything really, but yeah, but the big, it's like a mix of that. Just listen to whatever music I like, you know, what moves me, what is cutting edge, you know, what's always kind of challenges what is out there right now, and the stuff that, you know, their technique is just like, you know, always following technique and stuff. So yeah, everything. Yeah.
All right, now last two questions. This first one, I find to be usually people's favorite question that I ask. If you could build a lineup of any artist, band, quintet, who would the other? They don't even need to be bands. Artist, quintet. Who would be the other two artists?
Are we talking like anybody or just local?
Anybody. Well, usually the stipulation I give is that they have to be alive, so it could be a possible show that you could play.
Possible show.
I'll go in first on this one. This is going to be Dave first.
Let's go, Dave.
Put him on spot.
It would have to be a show that probably would manifest itself in the near future with local musicians. So maybe Alan Peroni of the Encyclopedia of Soul, the Quentet, and maybe Strange Standard. So getting a show like that together where we're playing a large venue and it's 3 or 4 like-minded bands that can all bring an audience and the audience vibes to all the bands, that would be something that we can make happen and that I think could make all the bands more popular. Mm-hmm. So that type of show would be something that we're probably going to do in the near future. So hopefully that answers the question.
I have a lot of great acts in the area, like the J Sharp Tet I've seen at Flying Bison. Yeah, that was really good.
How about Cheap Peach?
Cheap Peach. You know, there's Cheap Peach. There's that door's always open for that one. You know, I wonder who the guitar player in that band is. So, but yeah, I don't know. I'm always just down to whoever is like up for playing too, like just who's ever looking for gigs, and it's just there's always so many people. So
I like the band Silo that we saw the other
Silo.
Right.
How about Damone Jackson Outcast?
They were awesome.
I'm gonna do 2. I'm gonna at least try. I would say for local, if we were gonna have 2 other bands to play with, I would want to play with Inner City Bedlam, and then I would want to play with Pharaoh. And then if we're talking about anybody, I'm just gonna say people. because, like, I mean, I don't know who they would play with at the time. I got some lofty ones, so I'm going to say 3. I'm going to say Robert Glasper. I'm going to say Emmett Cohen. And then, this one might surprise you guys, I'm going to say, well, no. Actually, I'm going to stick with Braxton and Cook. I was going to say something else, but no. I got to do it. If that was my anybody bucket list, like, that's probably the 3 I would say.
You know, maybe a couple in that vein, maybe. Yeah. You know, Snarky Puppy could be cool, you know, something like that, like mixing some of the, like, more rock fusion stuff, you know?
How about the guys on the wall?
I can't see. Is that Metallica? No, I can't even see it.
Close.
No, it doesn't look close.
Grosh.
Grosh.
Is that how you pronounce it? Grosh or Grosh? I think it's Grosh. Is it
Grosh.
I think so.
All right. Grosh.
Grosh.
Yeah.
Good. There's a good rock band.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, and is there anything that I haven't asked or any kind of message you have for Western New York or anything like that that you'd like to add?
I think if you want to, like, if you're ever thinking about playing music, like, there's so many people in the area that constantly want to, like, play with people and jam with people. So just get yourself out there, you know? It doesn't matter how good you are at your instrument. I feel like everyone here is so supportive in the community. So it's like, I just think, word of advice, don't be scared, you know? Just get out there and even start posting videos of you playing if it helps you get out of your comfort zone. I don't know, because everyone's such a helpful community here, and everyone's always looking out for each other.
So I got 2 main messages for you guys. Number 1 is support local musicians. Support the Quentet. Support any of these local bands in Buffalo or the Western New York area. So Rochester, Syracuse, same thing. Like, another band we didn't mention is like White Hot Brass Band, Sideways. Like, those are other great bands to support. Support local musicians always. Like, we live off of your support. Another thing is, if you are interested in becoming a musician, or if you want help, like, I'm a music teacher professionally, so reach out to me, reach out to the band. I'd love to work with everybody.
Yes. Slater and I are also music teachers. Thanks for. I'm just kidding. No. Yes, no. Not to downplay that. 100%. Go out and support your local musicians, because, you know, if you come see the Quentet, I'll tell you this, you're going to have a good time.
Always.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having us.
Of course, yeah. This is the Quentet. And for Music Monday, I'm Adam Duke, News 4.